Welcome back to part 2 of the interview with Jess Ekstrom, the CEO of Headbands for Hope. For every headband that the company sells, it gives one away to a child with cancer. In today's episode, we'll be talking about how to build a successful business with no handbook, the secrets to determining what to say yes to and what to say no to. Also, she'll discuss using why to save you from the what.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. You know, it's funny. I literally found one of the first books, self-improvement, personal development books that I purchased when I was 17 from Charles Givens way back. I still have it in hard copy. I found it in my library the other day. And, you know, that's how we learned. And we were looking for new books that came out. People now have no idea how fortunate they are just at a touch of a few buttons, what they can find on Google. It's an amazing period to be alive.
It is. But it can sometimes be overwhelming too, like so much access to information, and trying to sort through it, and find what's important to you and what you're interested in. There's so much out there.
Yeah, and I find so many people get caught up in this, let me learn, and they just don't do the do.
And they don't do it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about
there's so much out there about how to start a business, how to run a business. And I'll be honest, and when I started Headbands of Hope, and this might be, a flaw, I didn't read any of that. I didn't have a handbook that I was referencing along the way. I think now that I'm into it, I've become really inspired by other people's stories, and I love reading and hearing about them. But I think one of the best things I could do that happened kind of by mistake was I just started doing it. And even though, I did mess up, or maybe I could have done some things differently or better, I was still doing it, and it was still growing and getting bigger each day. Just because I wasn't waiting for the stars to align, or to fully understand everything enough to get started.
Well, that's brilliant. That's the only way it works. You just got to get out there and just do it. And who cares? You're going to make mistakes along the way. I have a Facebook group, Peak Performance Nation, and every Friday we have a post in there, which is Failure Friday. Tell me what you failed this week. And if you're not failing at something, you're not doing enough. Just go out there, try. Who cares if it doesn't work? I can't tell you the number of things that I've tried in the last year that most of them just fell flat on their face. They really did. And I've been doing this game for 16 years. Just keep trying. You never know what's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, we did a campaign this year for Giving Tuesday, and we reached out to so many celebrities, influencers, because for every new Instagram follower we gained, we were going to donate a headband to a child with cancer. And the amount of people that actually posted versus how many people we reached out to, it's people will never know that or fully understand that. They just think, oh, well, everyone's posting about Headbands of Hope today, but they don't know how many people either didn't respond or, had their schedules booked already. But you won't get all of those yeses without getting those nos.
Yeah, absolutely. First time I did a Facebook Live, first guest, my mom. It's true. It's like, there I am, mom. There's mom. I got a listener. Yes. That's the way it starts. If you don't have a mom, grab one of your friends. Say, come on, sign in. I need at least one. We were talking about execution. It all comes down to execution. And if you're familiar with my work, everything is about execution. If you're not executing, it doesn't matter. And execution comes down to really being clear on what to say yes to, but also what to say no to. and the no's have to be a lot more than the yeses. Otherwise, you just get bogged down in everything. How do you determine what to say yes to?
So this is actually something that we've worked really hard on. This year was one of our resolutions, actually. We have a very clear mission, and that's childhood cancer. We want to enhance the patient experience, and we also want to work towards a cure. And so that is, on the front end of everything we do. And so when we get requests every day, if it doesn't fall into that pile of childhood cancer, either on the research end or the patient experience, it's not in line with what we're doing. And so that for us makes it very black and white as to who we want to involve ourselves with, what kind of experiences or opportunities we consider is if it's in line with our mission. And then beyond that, if it is in line, we look at who's behind it, what they're doing, the kind of work that they're doing, and if it's working. And then we go off of that. But if it's not in the childhood cancer realm, it's probably not something that we would want to involve ourselves in right now, because I've learned, and this is kind of learning by mistake, is having so many dreams, having a long list of dreams or a long list of things that you want to do is sometimes just as effective as having none, because there's no focus. And so if we can just focus on one thing and do that the best that we can, that's what we want to do right now.
What are some of your important daily habits?
Some of my important daily habits, and this might sound weird, but just being outside. I think nowadays being on your computer and in offices, it's just so easy to post up, and then all of a sudden look at your watch and it's the end of the day and you just go home. And being outside and breathing fresh air, whether it's you set your alarm for every 2 hours, which is what I do, and go and just take a walk around the block, and I'll, call my sister or call my mom and just have a minute, no matter how pressing you feel your day is. Just breathing natural air can do a lot for your brain and a lot for your body and really re-energize you. And with that said, also doing some kind of physical activity. I try to do yoga every morning, or CrossFit, or run. Again, you can oftentimes feel like that's something that can be put to the side when your inbox just keeps pinging and your lists keep getting longer, but that should be, you can't perform if you're not ready to, and you need to make sure your mind and your body is in the best place possible to do your best performance.
Yeah, energy is everything. Without energy and your health, everything else is either impossible or a lot more difficult.
Exactly. I think it was Ariana Huffington. She once talked about how professional athletes are like the only career that directly correlates their physical health to their work performance, but everyone should be doing that. Everyone should correlate their physical health to their work performance, even if you're not an athlete.
Oh, absolutely. No question. I just got done with 3 days out on the West Coast training with some Navy SEALs. And I did that for the pure reason is I wanted to figure out what my limitations were and how I could expand that. Because if you're not expanding who you are and what you're doing and what you're capable of, you're just not – there are people out there that are ready to kick your butt every day because they're getting up earlier, they're staying up later, they're getting more done, and they're just they've got more energy. Energy is the core of life.
Mm-hmm. And testing yourself like that physically can do a lot for your mind and your confidence. Like, for example, the other week, I've been practicing my handstands, and I'm like, I haven't done a handstand since I was like 10, but doing them now and thinking that was something that was long gone for me has been something that has been fun, and also kind of reminds me like, hey, I can do this. I can walk on my hands, or, do a rope climb or something. And then that gets you into more of the belief of yourself beyond that. And so maybe there's something that you've wanted to try in your business that you've been mentally blocking yourself out of, and that can help you release those barriers a little bit.
Yeah. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned was I can't do it all. that you need to ask help at times. And for asking for help's okay. It's a little bit different for a guy. It's like, we can do this. I've got this. I'll do it. And what I loved about your story, it's like, I went around in college. I asked all these people for help. Men have a more difficult time doing that. So rock on. Anytime you need help, ask. And it's a big lesson for men. You don't have to do it yourself. Just ask for help.
I think that having the realization that you can learn from everyone, no matter what their job is, no matter what their status is, no matter what their income is, or where you position yourself, in comparison to them in life, they know something that you don't.
Absolutely.
And you know something that they don't. And I think that that's once you come to that and realize that we're not all in competition with each other and that we can all learn from each other, no matter what that is, it really creates just a much more calming and relaxing way to approach business and your relationships, and just asking what they know or asking for help and offering your expertise and what you feel you can contribute on your end.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I'm always looking for what someone is doing, what's making them successful, what didn't make them successful. I'll learn both ways. Give me someone that really screwed up, and I want to find out what happened. What were they thinking? What was their mindset like? What strategies did they use? So I avoid those things. So I can learn from both sides. But I was always gathering information. But my struggle was I had difficulties at time asking for help, because one of my core beliefs is anything I set my mind to, I can do. But that doesn't necessarily mean I have to. And
people enjoy helping others.
Yes,
I think sometimes you can forget that, when you're asking for help, or you're kind of robbing that person, or you're getting in their way. But I truly believe, no matter if you have to dig for it or if it's just a habit, people really do find enjoyment in helping others with nothing in return.
Yeah, they do. I remember going up this mountain literally with the SEALs, and we're carrying these sandbags on our back. And at some point, we each had a sandbag, and we had to carry a stretcher as well. And you got to the point where we're going up this hill, and it's like, I can't go anymore. And you had to give your sandbag to somebody else that now had two sandbags. And then you just had to recover a little bit. Then you were able to take your sandbag back. But guess what? You were then able to take somebody else's. And it was very rewarding to be able to take someone else's sandbag. And the energies just kind of ebbed and flowed. But at some point, every single person, and we had 22-year-olds that were going into the SEALs, that were there to get trained before they showed up to do the actual SEAL training. And at some point during the day and the week, they needed help. And it was really interesting. I'm 53, and I need a lot of help throughout the week, but it was great to be able to help them. And then it was great to get the gift of saying, okay, I don't have to do this alone. I have other teammates here.
Yeah. I think even little things as simple as if you're carrying a lot of stuff and someone says, hey, can I help you with that? Can I get the door? My initial reaction would be like, no, I got it. I can do this. But sometimes just being like, yes, I would love if you could get the door as I'm carrying these 3 boxes. It not only helps me, but it also brings that person joy to do that. And that's winning on both ends.
Absolutely. Tell us some of the best advice you've received in business.
Some of the best advice I received in business, I think it was early on, and it came from Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And I think that as I was trying to grow my business, and there's so much that you have to do, and you have to worry about money and you're hiring, and there's all of a sudden it feels like there's so many moving parts, and sometimes the bigger it gets, the more you feel like you could be doing, and the more behind you feel. And so it's really easy to get caught up in the what. But something that has just saved me is the why. Everything is because of that. And so if I didn't understand or have a clear connection as to why I started my company, all of those whats, all of those hurdles that got in my way would have been too big for me to handle. But nothing is too big for me to handle if I know the importance of why I'm doing it. And so I've gone so far as to create a folder on my computer as to like all of those why reminders, whether it's letters from parents, pictures from kids, letters from hospitals, any of those moments that really remind me why I started. I can just open up that file and go through it, especially on some of those harder days, which everyone has.
Yeah, everybody thinks that being an entrepreneur is sexy and easy.
Yeah, sometimes not so much. I mean, I think that there are so many like just liberties and freedoms that you get being an entrepreneur, and just having everything in your control can be the biggest like blessing, but also sometimes feels like the hugest burden. There's nowhere to point fingers. Everything is reflected upon yourself. And sometimes it's easy to equate the like success or failures of your company to success or failures of yourself, because you feel like it's your reflection, it's you.
Yes.
Which can be hard to handle.
Yeah. And your identity starts to get wrapped up in it.
Exactly. Like if I am only successful if my company is successful, or, anytime something goes bad in the business, that I am bad. And so it's, even though it is your creation, you have to separate sometimes yourself from it and understand that, hey, even the bad, you're actually still growing good because you're learning from it. So that doesn't mean that you are bad as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a difference between it being part of you or just something that happened. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the bad or the things that don't work out the way we want them to work out are kind of like the side bumpers. They're the ones that kind of push us back to the center and say, okay, nope, that wasn't the way. Back to the center. Yeah.
No, I like that visual of side bumpers, because we all have those where we're going to test this out and nope, didn't work out so well. So we're just going to come back in.
Yeah. Yeah. And it tells you where the boundaries are. Well, I've got some good news for you also. As time goes on and your business grows, those sense of responsibilities and that pressure associated to being the person in charge just increases. So you have that to look forward to.
Yay. I'm so glad.
It does. I mean, because, you have one employee. It's like you wake up one day and go, uh-oh, I'm actually responsible for this person. And I'm responsible for their husband or wife and their kids. And then it becomes 2 and 3 and 4. And pretty soon it's like, whoa, this is like serious now. Yeah. I've got to make sure I do this.
Yeah. Thank you again for that reminder.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone who comes on gets cheered up here at Peak Performers. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day. That concludes part 2 of our interview. Please stay tuned later this week for part 3.